Hello, hello, most beautiful stars, you bright beings of love and light. Good morning, happy day. I heard a new one this week. Happy first hours. I kind of actually like that one. I could roll with that. Happy first hours. I could roll with that. So many people think that there is no such thing as time, but yet there is time. There's a thing called time. It just doesn't operate the way we think it does. There is such a thing. So happy first hours. That makes me kind of, I like that. I do. I like it. It works. So, hello, hello. Whenever you see this, maybe happy end of your hours before you go to sleep, before you go into dream world and you travel all over the place, seeing that we are connected to all things. I love it. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Oh my goodness, happy Friday. The world so needs a Friday. The world needs a Friday. They need a nice Friday night, relaxing with Lucky Stone 888 and myself at 8 p.m. tonight here on this channel. I don't know what Lucky and I are going to be discussing as of yet, but that's all groovy. That's great. I see that Jackie J and Seeker of Truth Shelley have entered. Good day, ladies. Good day. You beautiful stars. So, few announcements. Few announcements. I did change all the description to Dagger Casey Life Skills Studies that I actually recorded yesterday because Wednesday got all convoluted with schedules. Um, that became more about reincarnation, and it also became very a lot of rants out of me because I was not getting quality sleep. And so you all know when I don't get quality sleep, as many humans, there are some kind of side effects. And usually with me, it's I'm ranting and raving about all sorts of stuff. um, I do still have peace of mind, but a lot starts coming out of my mouth. That's what happens. So in that episode, that is in the live category on this page, there was a lot about reincarnation and how matters work. Whoa, I think this card wants to jump out at us. Okay, we have a card for today. Excellent. Before I read the card, just a couple more announcements. Next Friday at 11 a.m., that will end up being a pre-recorded show. So I will not be live. It'll be pre-recorded. The reason why is because I most likely, once Lucky hears this, hopefully I might be recording with Lucky that morning when I'm supposed to be live with y'all because Friday night on the 18th is a student appreciation night here at my house. I occasionally open I would love to do it quarterly, but it seems to be like yearly. I open my doors for all local students that are patrons and or in-person students of workshops and whatnot to come to the house, sit around a fire, and talk all the woo-woo stuff they want. So people can share, experience, learn from one another, student, teacher, mentor as we learn at patrons as the patrons learn at Stars of the Morning Light. It's kind of secular, it's you go back and forth. Um, so next Friday is going to be pre-recorded show. And in that show, I know for a fact I'm going to mention how I will be running a um, donation event uh, for all those in need right now, all of those in need that are around me. So I know at the beginning of the year when we went through the 2024 predictions, I talked greatly about how we would see vastly more natural disasters. And we are still going to be seeing that. It is the flip of the poles, it is the rebirthing, the new birth, the all that the planet's going through, right? And what we're here for. The ending and the beginning, right? So I had what you all don't know is I had already set up a fundraiser event for like the week of the 19th through the 26th for a different charity. What I'm gonna do is I'm kinda letting go of that other charity right now, and I'm tacking on helping those in need currently, right? Because 'Cause we're in the now. Um, what it will be is that, anyone who donates, I believe I don't have a percentage yet, but donates probably at least $35 or more, we'll get a 3-card spread tarot reading from various tarot readers. I'm grabbing all the readers around, and if someone donates $35 or more in an email to them over that week, so like the 21st through the 26th, let's say, you will get a 3-card spread in an email from one of the beautiful readers that are involved. Sunday, this Sunday, no, October 13th. If you are local, if you're a local person, there is a reader event with 4 different readers at Blue Sun Fusion Studio. That part of the proceeds from our day of work there will also go, I'll tack that on to what I will begin on the 19th and 20th. As in, I believe if you donate $35 or more, then you receive a 3-card spread in your email. Guys, think of this as in, when we used to watch the infomercials, like if you send a donation, you get this crappy little keychain from somewhere, This is at least a 3-card spread for you. I mean, it's worth it, right? So, if you're local, from noon to 4 at Blue Sun Fusion Studio in Dalton, Georgia, um, 616 South Hamilton Drive, there's a reader event. I will be there. 3 other readers will be there. Part of the proceeds from that will go to the charity for others. Next Friday, it will be pre-recorded because I will most likely be recording for Lucky for that show to be posted for that night when I have a student appreciation night at the house. And I will be re-mentioning this and talking about a bunch of stuff. I will be going live on various different social medias during that weekend, the 19th and the 20th, to promote, hey, if anybody donates, this is what you get. I've been talking with readers. I've been talking with also a whole bunch of people in the mix as to where to get things to, supplies. And what is kind of great about this is last year around this time I was doing the fundraiser for Maui. And so you can donate whatever you got. I got to put a price or I got to put a number on the donation for a reading because we might not be able to handle all of it. At least I'm hoping enough people donate, right? Um, Last year around this time, I was raising funds for Maui. And we did great. We did like 700 folks. I mean, for this little baby channel and what was going on and the difficulties there, we did pretty great. This is a bit different, as in it is in my own backyard. I remember in January when we were talking about the 2024 predictions, and I spoke a lot about how there's going to be massive natural disasters. Here's the thing, folks, it's going to be in everyone's own backyard at some point. And I don't like having to say this, but it is. It is in my own backyard right now. Where most people might not know, where I live, um, I mean, I'm further from Florida, right? But the parts in Tennessee that were affected, I'm 2 hours away from. The parts in North Carolina, I'm maybe 3, 4 hours away from, and the only reason I'm that far away is because in order for me to get to them, I have to go 2 hours down, cut across, and then go back up because there's no way to cut through the mountain from my location to them. If I could cut through the mountain, which I could, but it takes a whole lot longer, It's easier to just go down, across, and up again. um, if I could cut through the mountain, they're only 2 hours away. So it is literally in my own backyard. So there will be fundraisers spoken about next Friday, amongst other things. For those who don't know, there's a free video now on patreon.com at Stars of the Morning Light. That is a follow-up video to the IWE1 video of levels of consciousness chart. Now there's a follow-up video of that of the pyramid of self-ascension. So go on over to Patreon, Stars of the Morning Light, and watch that free video. I really highly recommend it. There's also um, things there that you can print out and look at, documents that we use often in class. So I'm just throwing all of this out there for everybody. Um, I am a busy, busy girl, but it's all for the better good. Seeker of Truth has the same deck as I go to read the cards, and she pulled number 31 Magic and number 9 Allowance was at the bottom. So maybe this will go well with you, Miss Seeker. Let me get my glasses going. Today is going to be the last of discussing Michaelmas. Um, Before we get into it, it will be the last. I think this is part 4. The book, there's so much more in that book. I'm just not going to stay there with it. I do suggest maybe ordering it. It is a great book to read and easy to read. So we pulled, hello everyone. Welcome to Stars of the Morning Light. I am Courtney, host here, and this is Friday live at 11 a.m. Number 25, Emergence. The frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. I'm going to hold the card up, let my camera focus. Focus, camera. Or maybe not. My camera's having such issues. My computer's been having such issues. My phone, my computer, everything has been having such issues. So if this is not coming out all that great, I apologize. Um, I have been having a great deal of technical issues. What I actually kind of like for the fact that I'm having technical issues is the fact of how this is it's a little bit blurry, but blurry as in like it's really showing how things are connected, right? Layer upon layer, bubble with bubble, community with community, individual with individual, and all at the center is that beautiful light, that beautiful star that connects all things. The frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. Oh, that's wonderful. And I know why this card came out for today. At the end of last Michaelmas video episode, last Friday, I said that we were going to talk about courage. Courage of the spirit, right? Why is it so hard to create an actual Michaelmas within ourselves and together? Why is it so hard? Because it takes courage. That Michael thinking, that Archangel Saint Michael approach to things. It does take courage. Well, part of that courage is, as well as we're going to learn today, is to remember, right? Remember ourselves and celebrate ourselves who have always been. But we also need to have somewhat of that childlike attitude, wonderment, innocence to gain the courage that we need in order to represent ourselves this way. So I know why that card came out. It will make sense as we move along. I'm going to hold this book up again. So, y'all, here, actually, I'm going to hold it up to the side. See, and it's not even that thick of a book. This is a quick read. Well, I don't want to say quick read because you should really read it and, kind of, page by page and really try to absorb it. Um, there's actually a section in this material about the importance of reading. And I know everybody reads differently. Everybody comprehends differently. For some, it is easier to listen. And so I'm sure you might be able to find this on tape or, audio somewhere. Um, Rudolf Steiner, a lot of his lectures, okay, because this is a series of lectures in this material. There is I think it's called Rudolf Steiner Press here on YouTube. I definitely need to add that link in the description. There is only one person that the Institute allows to read his material out here for everyone, right? Not everyone is allowed to do that. That's why I don't read word for word. I'll read some excerpts and I definitely give him credit where credit's due, right? Um, but reading is, no matter if it takes you a long time, a short time, how you take it in, reading does imprint into our psyche, even into kind of our mental and DNA, to tell you the truth, even our body form differently because it's a different form of all senses of meditation while you're reading. This is why a lot of people, when they read, let's say, a fantasy book, right? And the descriptions are so rich, and the old village that you're walking through, or the forest that the character is walking through, it's as if we can be there and we can sense it and we can feel it, we can taste it, we can be part of it. Well, when we're engaged that way through the written word, it does imprint into us differently, and therefore it ends up becoming a part of us. So some people might say, you are what you read. Not so much you are what you hear. Not so much you are what you listen to. Not so much you are by the hashtag or the headlines. You are what you read, though. So I do suggest, I think you can get this for like 10 or 12 bucks somewhere. Um, I do suggest it. It's has a lot of not just what we've been discussing here, but kind of broad topics in a way, and I can't discuss all of them, right? Um, as into moving into a new form of thinking. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. And we're going to end on that kind of a new form of thinking. Um, so I'm going to hold it up again. It is Michaelmas, Rudolf Steiner, right? Yeah, Shelley just said, she usually reads everything twice to kind of fully grasp things. And definitely, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, I read everything many times, many times, because and it's kind of like even when let's say you watch a really good film movie, and every time you kind of watch it, it might be one of your favorites. You see something different, like whoa, I didn't know that was in the corner of that shot. That even adds another layer of, intrigue or humor or whatever it might be, right? Same with reading. Every time you pick up something and you read it again, it's like, whoa, that's imprinting different. And because when we read, even if there's music playing in the background, because many people might need that, which is fine and groovy. There's plenty of times I was reading with music going on around me and people around me and all sorts of things around me. When we read, because of the concentration involved, that's what I mean by it's a form of meditation in itself. Because it begins to involve all of our senses in a way of allowing them to settle down and relax into what we are focused on. And when we are focused like that, reading every word, right? Taking it in, it is a form of meditation. So, therefore, because we're in a form of meditation, whenever we are in a form of meditation, if it's an action meditation, with movement, if it is a still and quiet, if it is a music, if it's whatever it may be, some form of focus, staring at a candle, right? A lot of people, candle is the way to go to start. And we're allowing our thoughts to move in and out, and they start to slow down as we focus. Same with reading. You might end up reading the same sentence multiple times, and it's because we're beginning to quiet all of the senses. And once we quiet our senses, which you can get to that in a permanent state of being, right? Sometimes our senses are lively and going, but when they're quiet, they can see this, they can experience the subtleties of life. And it's within those subtleties. I'm glad we're on this topic because this is what we're talking about today. It's within those subtleties that we become heart centered and connected to more of our divine self, right? So, reading can do that. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's a thing that we can utilize, right? Regardless if it's I know it's a struggle for some, it was definitely a struggle for me, but it's worth kinda moving through the struggle, right? It's worth it. It is definitely worth it. Alright. So with that being said, let's begin. We'll probably come back to the words I just spoke. Alright, you guys. So we have been on this Michaelmas festival, and how we ended last week was saying at the very end that it does take courage because we're not creating a festival of like good times, potluck, good food, good friends. This is a complete understanding of our place amongst all energies, cosmic, earthly, one another, how we can defeat the dragon within and around by allowing that flame, that spark to give us the courage as it forges that sword, right? As we heal through burning away through the wreckage of our past and we heal and heal, especially with the little ones inside, that our inner child who is usually scared and fearful and attached to the ego, that makes the ego even more fearful and dangerous in that light. We can help that little one, right? We can have it learn courage through healing. We can do so many things. And then imagine like all of the peoples coming together in a festival, as we spoke last week, and I'm going to probably read it again, in remembrance of me. So when I say that, as we did this last week, in remembrance of me, not me, Courtney, you say that to yourself, in remembrance of you. Rudolf Steiner talked about how all ceremonies, all festivals, all what we call in today's world holidays here in the States, right? Not just a vacation for those over in Europe, but like holidays here in the States that we're fixing to go into the holiday season, folks. We are fixing to go into it. It is in remembrance of me, remembrance of you, right? Um, I am not Lucky and I are going to be doing a live show on October 25th on his channel, Lucky Stone 888 at 8 p.m. Definitely, if you haven't done it so already, please go and subscribe to Lucky Stone 888. And of course, it's going to be like our Halloween episode. I have no idea what we're going to do. I don't even have any costumes. That's not what I do. Um, I think people wear enough masks for every single day. Um, but at least that festival, that time of year, is supposed to represent remembrance of those who have passed. So, okay, we understand that. That's in remembrance of them, in remembrance of me when they were living, right? We can understand this. Well, then it moves into different holidays, different ceremonies, different festivals that are supposed to represent, in a lot of ways, different aspects of the remembrance of me. And we're going to talk probably more about this as we move into the actual holidays and how that works, how that relates. Because I'm sure a bunch of minds right now went, how does that work? Well, stay tuned to Stars of the Morning Light and you'll find out. Okay, so let us get into. I read this last time and then we're going to keep going. This is from a lecture in April of 1923, a festival of inner courage. There will have to be a festival in honor of human courage, of the human manifestation of the courage of Michael. For what is it that today holds human beings back from spirit knowledge? It is a lack of soul courage, not to say cowardness. People want to receive everything passively, sit down in front of the world as if it were a movie, want to allow the microscope and telescope to tell them everything. They do want to temper and focus the instrument of their own spirit, of their own soul, through activity. Distraction. I'm just going to use that word because Rudolf Steiner, please remember, I just said 1923. He is also at that turn of the century spiritualist movement that we discussed so much during the Edgar Cayce life skill studies. So I would reference all that I just said. Human beings want to temper their soul and kind of move through things passively. And he gave a few different descriptions there. In today's world, we would call that distractions. All distractions. They do not wish to be followers of Michael, for this requires inner courage. This inner courage must be celebrated at Michaelmas festival. Then such a festival of courage, of the inwardly courageous human soul, will radiate the quality that also imbues the other festivals of the year with their right content. If the festivals were formerly festivals of giving by the divine to the earthly, at which human beings receive the gifts of heavenly powers directly, today, when the human being contains his capabilities within themselves, festivals must transform into celebrations of inward remembrance in which we inscribe into our soul that we need to perfect in ourselves. So, festivals, many, many, many moons ago, with the ancients, were to represent heavenly beings, heavenly powers given and inscribed in us and within us throughout the ages, still present within us when we let go of the distractions, still very present within us. If those ceremonies, festivals, all of that were in remembrance of things of that nature, well, then we are in ceremony to remember ourselves. And the most powerful festival of such remembrance will be this festival at the start of autumn, the Michaelmas festival, when all nature is speaking to us in a meaningful cosmic language. The trees are growing bare, the leaves are fading and withering. The butterflies, which all summer long fluttered through the air, or bees which filled the air with their hum, begin to withdraw. Animals begin to hibernate. Everything is paralyzed. Nature, whose own activity helps sustain us through spring and summer, now withdraws from us and we are thrown back upon ourselves. What must now awaken when nature forsakes us is courage of the soul. And Michael Festival can be one of soul courage, soul strength, soul activity. Can be one of soul courage, soul strength, soul activity. This is what will gradually give to this festival the character of inner remembrance. There is a monumental saying, which tells us that what we were once festivals of gifts to human beings will or should become, for all future times, festivals of remembrance. This monumental words, which must be in all festivals, including one still to be created in the future. Right now, 100 years later, one still created in the future. This do in remembrance of me. Here, every idea of festivals incorporates the aspect of conscious memory. Of conscious memory. All festivals, then and now, in the future. We haven't even created them yet. Cool. I love festivals. I love holidays. I love everything about celebrating and coming together. I do. I really do. Because humans are awesome. And the food is probably usually good. The atmosphere is usually good. The remembrance of everything is usually good. Feeling the power within, the love within. Hello, that's the truth. It is also good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Why would I deny myself of something so grand? It's so good. In that remembrance, folks, start trying to wrap your head around that because we are headed into the season of holidays, um, and festivals and celebrations and gatherings, right? In remembrance of me. And it's so interesting that in regardless of programming, culture, religious context, all of what we celebrate in today's world on the majority is usually in representation of honoring some deity, some savior, some ascended master, something, right? Well, what Rudolf Steiner is trying to say at a celebration like that, at a time of coming together, it is actually not rooted in celebrating them. It's in celebrating the thanksgiving of them giving us what we've always had, all of their powers, all of their strength, all of their mightiness, all of their divine nature within us. And so we're going to be moving into this concept of Michael thinking to think like Michael, to be like Michael. So many of you know, like every morning, regardless of if I got time to do my prayers or meditation, I do say at least one thing. I do. Regardless of what I got going on in my life, I will say one thing. I say it also every time before I get on air here with y'all. I do. Why? I'm looking for a page. I apologize. So, what I say every day, let's say it's a crazy day, crazy morning, crazy afternoon, whenever you pause and go, oh, goodness, my day started wild. Let's reset, right? Because we can reset, especially if we all think this is a simulation. Well, then just reset that. Just reset it. Just start again. Um, every day, regardless, like I said, regardless if I have time to meditate, regardless if I have time to do any prayers, regardless if I whatever I got going on, regardless if I get interrupted a lot during my day, I will always hands in prayer position and I will say, have my words be your words, my thoughts be your thoughts, my actions be your actions. Because it could be I'm speaking of the higher self me, the divine within me, the one that is not submerged in the 3D density and the dragon like materialistic, the judgments, the rat race. So the moment I say that, it reminds me, it reminds me that I am fully connected to all things and that my higher self is fully connected within me. And so, hey, divine Courtney, divine within, have my thoughts be your thoughts, my words be your words, my actions be your actions, right? I say that regardless of what my day is. It is an always, that is what I say. And it's fast, it's simple, it connects me. I take a nice deep breath, I exhale with a smile. I'm good. I'm good. We put a whole lot of emphasis on the appearance and even with festivals, when that is where we're going to end with this, the concept of there's no point of even doing a festival if your mind, body, and soul is not a part of what it is trying to be in remembrance of. Then it's just for the entertainment. Then it's just for the so called good feelings. It's not, it has no substance to it. But we tend to focus on creating substance with outwardly expressions because we think that to go inwardly and to have the courage to live heart centered is bigger than we know how to do, when in fact it's actually very easy, very simple, and we can keep it simple. How do we obtain Michael thinking? What is Michael thinking? In a roundabout way, in a lot of words from Rudolf Steiner, he described it more so of what in today's world, 100 years later, because a lot of these lectures were from 1923, 1924, right? 100 years later, we would describe Michael thinking as like a Christ consciousness, a higher level consciousness thinking, an ascended master thinking. So in a lot of ways, I that's why this book is great to read. I'm not going to read all of it because in now 100 years later, we have simplified the understanding into levels of consciousness, which what we just read was to have a festival, right, folks? That was the words that we just read. So Rudolf Steiner did know what he was talking about. To do talking about festivals, these monumental words, which must be within all festivals includes ones still to be created in the future, do or this do in remembrance of me. Meaning, do these festivals in remembrance of me, the self me. What is that self? Here, the very idea of festivals incorporates the aspect of conscious memory. Conscious memory. That is the me. That is the me. That is the I, we, one. That is the me. Conscious memory. To do it in all those shapes and forms. So, conscious memory that can help us to evolve and understand that we are all connected, move through the levels of consciousness charge to know that we are also the ascended masters within. We just have to remember. So, in today's world, in this material, Rudolf Steiner also lectures a lot about, as we talked about last week, the dragon, the materialistic aspect of things, the abstract thinking. That when we meet someone, Rudolph even goes into this as to when we meet someone, somewhere in our mind, we're not aware of it, but somewhere in our mind looks at that person and goes, okay, they are made of the same compounds and atoms and carbon and all sorts that I am. They're a fellow human. When we look at nature, it's very black and white. Okay, that is a tree. That is made up of this, this, and that, right? Because Rudolf Steiner incorporated a lot of science into his spirituality, right? That somewhere in our mind, we use all these different identifying markers: human, tree, squirrel, dog, table, shoe. We use that is very abstract thinking. We're viewing the world not just in the programming of materialistic, the programming of submission, passiveness, the distractions, not just that, but it's also very black and white, as in, that's what you are. You're a human. There you go. You're a dog. There you go. We automatically kind of view the world in this very confined. Everything's got boxes. Everything's in a box, right? A very confined way. So then he goes into talking about that's not thinking like Michael. That's not having higher consciousness to see outside the black and white structures, because there's an entire soul focused, heart focused being within all of that, all the things, right? So then he goes into talking about um we can't have a Michaelmas festival without it being heart focused. And I'm going to offer, as I will dive into the reading, if we are so structured into living world with abstract thinking. And when I mean abstract, it's exactly what I just stated. 3D density, it is what it is. This is what I see. This is this is my phone. This is a deck of cards. You are a human. I am a human. Just these very small boxes of identifying markers on the energy, right? Because all is energy. But we know through our living experiences that so much more to these things have qualities to them that might not be understood as to how, but we know that they are present. Like if we go outside right now and hug a tree, we're going to feel the energy of that tree, right? When we hug another person, we're going to realize, oh, there's something more there than just flesh and bones and a little bit of consciousness. We're going to know. So, based on now, okay, through experience, right? It will always be, folks, I'm going to remind people of this, to come to any form of wisdom, right? That's what most people strive for, is wisdom. If you struggle with getting it through remembrance of yourself, another layer that you can incorporate, because it's how all humans learn, is knowledge, knowledge plus experience equals understanding. And the more we do that little equation, knowledge plus experience equals understanding, the more we do that equation, as in within the same, I don't know, themes or contexts, the same you experience something, the more understanding is involved. And to the heights or depths of your understanding within the context of that theme, that topic, what have you, that emotional, that mental, that physical, that spiritual, within more of that, to the depths or heights of our understanding, is where wisdom lies. And the reason why I say we have to do that equation over and over again is because to do something once, we do not obtain the same amount of understanding, right? It's walking in someone else's shoes. It's truly having empathy and understanding that everything is connected, right? So, if you struggle with having full remembrance of you and celebrating yourself, well, then work towards the wisdom of knowledge, experience, understanding, and keep just doing that pattern over and over again within the same topic. It's studying, right? And I do want to pause here for a moment because on yesterday with the Edgar Casey Life Skills Studies, I spoke heavily about how we did not come here to learn lessons. I did speak heavily about that yesterday in my rants because I was tired. We did not choose to come to Earth, and I do wholeheartedly believe this, because you are all divine, beautiful beings. And I know the ones that are here at Stars of Morning Light listening, having eyes to see and ears to hear, absorbing what is being said here. You have that beautiful flame within you. You are connected to the divine. And we're going to get you even more connected to the Michael thinking of the divine within you, the remembrance of yourself, the celebration of you. All of the divine beings and beautiful souls, regardless of how long we've lived life after life after life after life here, we did not come to learn quote unquote lessons because we already know it is to choose love. Period. So this is a little side note to the Edgar Casey video of yesterday. It is to choose love, period. So if there is any kind of life review when we pass, as people talk about, that life review, it has nothing to do with lessons. That life review has to do with, did I take the opportunity to choose love? Did I take the opportunity to choose myself and love myself? Did I take the opportunity to be in remembrance of my power and the love that is within to share with others? Did I take the opportunity to smile at my neighbor? Did I take the opportunity to know that I'm worthy to follow my dreams? Did I take the opportunity to show kindness over hatred? Did I take the opportunity to express compassion over judgment? Did I take all of the opportunities that life presents to choose love over fear? So if there is ever any kind of life review, has nothing to do with lessons that we need to learn. We already know the greatest lesson of all. It is to love. There is nothing other. There is nothing other. And when humans, as many prophecies will have foretold, when humans learn to love, the world will change. 3D density makes it hard to understand that that is the only thing we have to do. Because having this concept of karma and lessons and cause and effect and all of that jazz takes us outside of our own power, our own Michael thinking, takes us outside of that, attaches it to something else, tells us that we're not worthy and that we're not doing something right. So therefore, we need to keep learning all these lessons. That is obnoxiously inaccurate because we are attached to the divine. All we have to do is love. That's it. It is the only true reality. It is the only true energy that we have to express. Is that's it. So I know yesterday I went on a very big rant about this because we were talking about reincarnation, but for those who have been here with me for quite a long time now, I have never changed my approach to this. I have never changed my words. Lessons, sure, whatever. Earth school, it's not really a school. We came here to love. We came here to help when beautiful Earth is going through a beginning and an end, to help one another and help her, right? We are all divine, beautiful masters within. We just have to remember. And once we remember, it is very easy to choose love. Very easy. It is only the 3D density that creates this very thick atmosphere that we are not worthy enough. We need to learn more. We need to do better. We need to this, we need to that. It's all muckety muck of 3D density. It's all muckety muck of the judgment that makes it very thick to operate and respond in love here. That is the only thing. So if there is some kind of quote unquote life review, that is the only thing you'd be looking at. Not that you have to learn anything, you already know everything. You already know. We all already know. We just have to remember, right? We already know. Now, do we live within the fog and the forgetfulness? Yes. That is the 3D, right? That is those lower frequencies, right? I have the frequency, man. Y'all, this might be a long episode. I don't know what's going on. I have the levels of frequency chart here. I would love to be able to share this live, but I need still about 40, 50 more subs. Look at here, folks. This is the levels of consciousness chart. I know I'm going off on another tangent. It's probably because the power of October right now. Look at this. This is all we really have to pay attention to. Are we in fear down here in low frequencies, or are we in love? Are we in fear or are we in love? This is 3D, y'all. 3D right here. That says, I mean, we got death, shame, grief, fear, desire, anger, into pride, into courage. Do you see how courage, as Michael Thinking and Rudolf Steiner just said, in order to have a true Michaelmas festival, humans need to have courage. Because courage is right here. Courage is one of those energies, mentalities, ways of viewing the world in remembrance of yourself and then acting as if acting in that remembrance, have my words be your words, my thoughts be your thoughts, my actions be your actions, because I am a divine being. Courage to then act on those, right? To help us lift into the fourth. And if you can all see, it goes from pride. This pride is still low. This pride is not have anything to do with worthiness. That pride is the one that says, I'm better than you. That we know better, us versus them. This pride, right out of anger, this pride is the one that causes the division. And then we have the courage to remember, wait a minute. We are loved. All is loved. We are love. Into moving into the fourth. And here's neutrality. Brilliant. Because that's what I want to talk about as to how to obtain more of the Michael thinking. Observer. Observer. Neutrality. Observer thinking. When we spend more time not focused on self, not focused on the distractions, not focused on the he said, she said, I'm right, you're wrong. Oh my goodness, right? When we are not focused on that and we focus on just being an observer and being relaxed into being that observer, right? I'm sorry, I'm looking for something real quick. This is a quote from one of my teachers. I am merely an observer, here to witness and know through the informed awareness of divine mastery presence. That is what my teachers teach. I'm going to read that again. I am merely an observer, here to witness and know through the informed awareness, conscious memory, of divine mastery presence, the divine mastery presence within you. We observe because we do not judge. Do we act when is needed? Yes. Yes. Make my thoughts your thoughts, my words, my actions your actions. Do we act? Do we still have our day-to-days? Yes. Do we take action when action is needed? Yes. Through all other space and time, we observe. Through our divine mastery presence that is within the Michael thinking, the level of consciousness takes courage. I'm going to hold this up again. What I teach on the Patreon of Stars of the Morning Light, when we can move into having some courage, willingness, neutrality. We have to have some courage to have the willingness to live as the observer. We have to have some courage to get the willingness to live in neutrality. This is a nice little sandwich, 3 cards or 3 spread here. I almost said 3 card spread. 3 spread. We move in and out of all this, but these 3 are together. Courage. I hope everybody can see where I'm at on this. Courage. Courage to have the willingness to live in neutrality observer. When we live in neutrality observer and we are just observing, we are only observing, we relax all of those senses as I talked about before. I'm going to read our card again, number 25, emergence. The frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. When we have the courage to relax our senses, when we have the courage to let go of the distractions, when we have the courage to view things with childlike eyes and wonderment, we get to relax into our beingness, our divine mastery presence that is there just waiting for us to allow ourselves to let go and be the observer. And through being the observer, as I hold the levels of consciousness chart up again, courage, to have the willingness to live in neutrality, observer, right over here, because this is at 250 now, we are at trust. We learn how to trust. We learn how to trust. And I cannot encourage people more to live within this because I know based out of that trust, we learn then how to accept. It is. It is. Until it's something else, right? It is. All of that is how we can develop higher consciousness, Christ consciousness, ascended master consciousness, tap into the divine within. For when we are in observer mode, all those subtleties that I was talking about before, when we relax our senses and relax everything, which actually makes them heighten, by the way, it takes that trust to lay down the stress, to lay down the fear, to lay down all the unknowns, to lay down the shame, the desires, the pride of us versus them, to lay all of that down and just observe, to just observe. And the more we do that, the more we allow ourselves to just merely be an observer, we obtain the trust that it is to then start walking and acknowledging it is. It is. And walking and doing in the only reason we came in the first place, love. It's the only reason we came. We so love this earth. We so love humans. We so love that if we only remembered ourselves and owned our divine mastery presence, any destruction of ever cycle, we can stop that. We can stop all energy that repeats, 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 repeats. We can stop it. And so much of that was discussed yesterday on the Edgar Casey Life Skill Studies. Observer. Observer. When people now gaze into the vast cosmos, they observe the outer forms of the stars and constellations, but no longer have any inner relationship to what is spiritual in the cosmos. In fact, people of today observe the kingdoms of nature that surround them on earth, the manifold beauty of plants, the mighty shapes of mountains, the fleeting forms of clouds, and so on. Yet there again, they are restricted to their sense impressions. and are often even harmed if they feel a deeper, more intimate contact with the great spaces of nature, fearing they might lose their analytical attitude towards them. This phase of human evolution has been vital to the development of what we experience in the awareness of freedom, the feeling of freedom, in order to achieve full self awareness, the inner strength that permeates the full unfolding of ego. Observer, to release the ego, to step out of all of that low frequency density that ego attaches itself to relax out of that and to trust the full unfolding of ego, but necessary as this hermit life of humanity was in relation to the universe. It must be no more than a transition to another epoch in which the human being finds his way back to the spirit, which after all underlines all things and beings. And it is this very endeavor to find our way back to the spirit which we must engage in by grasping the Michael idea in its right sense and true form, the form it has to assume in our lifetime. Our thinking, our heart and mind, our life of action all need to be permeated with the Michael impulse. The breathing, the breath of self awareness, impulse. That sacred breath of yours connects you with that impulse of the heart, right? It is that own breath of yours that you do all things divine. It is that own breath of yours that connects you with that heart and that mind. I'm going to read another thing. I'm going to keep going, folks. Thank you for being with me. This is kind of a long episode, but man, it's October 2024. There's a lot happening. I'm going to read again. Let us now turn our attention to the kinds of experiences that can enter our inner experience through anthropostrophe, which is Rudolf Steiner's school of theory, right? Let's say it that way. As you know, we distinguish the soul forces of thinking, feeling, and will. And in connection with feeling, particularly, we speak of the human heart. Our thinking appears cold and dry to us, colorless, and as though spirituality and as through spirituality, when our thoughts assume an abstract form, when we are unable to imbue them with the warmth and enthusiasm of feeling, we can call someone a full and feeling person only when something of his heart and mind, inner warmth, streams forth to us when he utters his thoughts. And we can really only establish close contact with a person if his conduct towards us and the world is not merely corrected and detected by duty, but if his actions show enthusiasm, a warm heart, a love of nature, and love of every being. This human heart and mind then dwells you can say at the very core of soul life. The heart has to be present. While our conscious inner experiences may lack a heartfelt quality, this lack will inevitably harm us as full human beings. Go back to the very beginning, folks. Abstract thinking. all those boxes, all those colorless ways of thought, all those 3D thoughts. While our conscious inner experiences may lack a heartfelt quality, this lack will inevitably harm us as full human beings. And if we endure this, we will compel ourselves to lack a soulful, heartfelt encouragement and awareness. This will this will in some way or another gnaw at our whole being, will eat right down into our physical organization and affect our health. Much of what appears today as symptoms of decline is fundamentally connected with the lack of heartfelt awareness into which many people have subsided. The full significance of this rather general statements will become clearer as we delve further. We are in a time, as Rudolf Steiner, and we have said this over all of these episodes, the opportunity to ignite, revive, focus more on heartfelt inner experiences. That is what is actually connects us to all things, is more prevalent and pronounced, and it is possible today. It was there long ago. There have been opportunities, great opportunities. But that dragon that Michael had to slay, that the townspeople helped with, that dragon is so big. That dragon, man, is insidious and uses all these different ways within the 3D consciousness. But we have the opportunity now to live a heartfelt existence within our divine mastery presence here on this earth. You don't got to go nowhere. You came here for a reason, is to be here, to choose love, and then help others to understand to choose love. That's all we got to do. Just choose love. Love. We do not need to make this complicated at all. At all, folks. At all. Love. How are you going to love? Fridays are my day, as I have said in many moons. Friday is my day to experience love. And I mean like grandiose, wonderful. When I leave the house and I have to run my errands and do all this, I just tell myself everything is the most beautiful observation, because I will be in observer mode, observation of the best love anyone could possibly imagine. That is how I use my Fridays. It's not as easy to do that every single day when you got stuff to do. But the more frequently that we take long spans of time, because now I can do it just at any time, but I've been practicing Fridays as my day for the most powerful love through observation, through me, through others. I've been practicing that for at least like 6 years now. Oh my gosh. I guess like 5 or 6 years. Okay, cool. So if I throughout my other days, I can easily just go, yeah, oh, there's love all around. There's so much love because I set a day to sustain it, to not let anything get in my way of love, 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 love. So now it filters through all the rest of my days. So, how are you going to love today? How are you going to view yourself and others in love? How are you going to choose love over fear? Humanity must attain an esoteric maturity developing a thinking that is not merely abstract, but is also real and specific, that human beings can once again create festivals. Then it will become possible once again to unite something spiritual with the earthly cycles of sense phenomena. These festivals, these ceremonies, these gatherings, these good times, these holidays that we all are entering into. Love. Love, not commercialism, not the dragon, not some program that you think you have to adhere to. Rudolf Steiner made it very clear it's in remembrance of self. Every festival is in remembrance that we are a divine, beautiful mastery presence, divine, beautiful being here on this earth. And we recognize that, we acknowledge it, we love it, we accept it, we use it to connect with all the divine beings here during a time of a festival. Not saying you shouldn't do it all the time. Fridays, love. But definitely during festivals is when all of us come together and we go, yes, we are mighty. We are the ultimate. We can defeat that dragon. We are a mastery presence. We are the divine. We are all knowing. We are full consciousness. We are the embodiment of the one. That is what all festivals should be, is what Rudolf Steiner was saying. And it takes being heart-centered. Heart-centered. This tells us that this tells us what needs to arise in human beings if the Michael thought is to revive. We must really become able to experience the spirit and acquire this experience entirely through thinking rather than some sort of clairvoyance. We would be in a bad way if everyone had to become clairvoyant in order to have this confidence in spirit, this courage to have the willingness to live in observation neutrality, to gain the trust, to accept it is, to then take the proper actions that are not based in fear, but in love. We would be in a bad way if everyone had to become clairvoyant in order to have this confidence in spirit. Everyone who is at all receptive to teachings of spiritual science can have this confidence. I wanted to end on that because, as you all know, I am clairvoyant. I do have eyes to see and ears to hear. I do comprehend differently. I can contact the Akashic. I can be within the Akashic and speak with them. That means absolutely nothing. That means absolutely nothing. I am also mortal. I am also here with you. I am also a human being that's paying their bills, mowing the lawn, cooking the dinners, doing the laundry. I am also here with you. No one has to be clairvoyant. No one has to have their gifts in prime action. We have to do is to choose love over fear, to have that courage, to have the willingness to live as an observer. And when we live as that observer, without judgment, judgment of self, judgment of others, we're just walking through the land, observing, because it's not about us. It's not even about them. We're just watching. We're just watching. When we do that more frequently, we will be able to see how energy flows. We will be able to see how we can choose compassion over judgment. How we will be able to see that everyone is just human, walking around trying to pay their bills, trying to put food on the table, trying to gain experience. We will also be able to see, oh, they are just as distracted as anyone else. Are we distracted? Not in the current moment because we're in observer mode. The more we practice that, the more we can accept it is, which leads into forgiveness and then great action. Because above that, beautiful beings, as I hold this up again, acceptance, forgiveness. Do y'all see what's right above here? Inner light and reason, inner wisdom. We head into the new humanity consciousness. The new humanity consciousness, where we lay down the fears, the righteousness, the pride, the anger. We lay it down. We lay it down. I'll leave us with this because this has been a long episode, but I thank everyone who's come in. Good to see you, Miss Kim. Good to see all the beautiful stars. If you like what you hear here, please share it out. Please give a thumbs up. And also, because of a lot of the distractions, which is rightly so right now, I have been losing a lot of views. So leaving a comment below does help. I would appreciate that. I'm going to leave you with this. I started so long ago, not just choosing Friday to be my day of the entire day, I am choosing love over fear. Even if something came in that would try to knock me off, I then would stop and go, it's Friday. I'm choosing love over fear because there has to be a commitment to learn and experience what it's like to choose love every single time, what it's like to be an observer every single moment. We tend to want to do these things and then we'll try and it'll be sprinkled in and then we lose it through the madness of the 3D. Take a part of a day, Friday afternoon, Friday night, whatever it may be, whatever day is suited for you. For me, growing up, is Tuesday evenings, right? Like everybody's got some pocket of time that they can, every week, this is how I'm going to operate. Every week, I'm going to choose love in this time frame, and then it'll filter out because we have to experience. We have to have knowledge plus experience to gain the understanding. And the more often we do that, the more we also then become able to choose it in the moment, right? Because understanding then is in there, the wisdom is in there, the moving up the levels of consciousness. So I started that a long time ago, selecting a day to practice it. I also, and I will leave with this because this will help in the process of developing a Michael thinking process, a higher level of consciousness, a remembrance of who we are as our divine mastery presence, a trust and knowing. It will help in developing all of this. Many moons ago, when I was still working through a lot of my own acceptance and forgiveness and trying to find my own worthiness, right? Thank goodness you don't have to be clairvoyant. Thank goodness all you have to be is that beautiful human self, right? When I was working through all of that, so this is many, many moons ago, I began saying, forgive us for we know not what we do. Because many of you might not know, I was very much, I never got caught, but I had a very kind of criminal background in my actions and my thought patterns. I didn't get caught because I was really damn good at what I do. Or did, I should say. It's a part of my story. So when I was working on coming out of all of that and returning, reviving my Michael thinking, returning and reviving together we are better, returning and reviving back to I am worthy. I have done some horrible things, but I am worthy, right? And I have to forgive all of the people, places, and things that kind of started dictating how I became that criminal in the first place, right? As I was working through all of that, and I did, it's possible. We can become completely anew. It's the power of the human free will and that freedom that Rudolf Steiner does talk a lot about in that material. During all of that time frame, I would say to myself, "Forgive us, for we know not what we do." Because I was still working on the concept of I am just like everybody else. They are just like me. We have such poor thinking and actions and thoughts. It is in selfishness, it is in ego, it is in me. It is in so 3D. And all of mine was based out of fear. For others, it's, greed, competition, fear, jealousy, whatever it may be in today's world. All of those thoughts and then actions that I would take, I was really no different than anyone else, nor were they any different than I. So forgive us, for we know not what we do. Because I was a part of all of it. I was a part of 3D to an extent, as many of us, I'm sure, lived, right? So I kept saying that to myself over and over again. Because a lot of mine was also linked to memories coming back to me. Forgive us, for we know not what we do. And some might say, I was not that bad of a person. That's, I'm sure you weren't compared to others out there. Comparison is judgment. Comparison says there's a degree to how bad a person is. When in so many higher consciousness master beings, degree has nothing to do with it. Degree has nothing to do with it. That's why we do get these sayings of, um, you know, love thy neighbor as you love thyself, as in, you know, a splinter in your eye is like a log, and, whatever the quotes might be. There is no separation, right? So in today's world, many actually take that kind of negative, ego, harmful thoughts and actions, and it's internally expressed. As we read with Rudolf Steiner, that so many people go internally with it, and it causes physical symptoms. It causes harm to self. So it does not matter if it's harm to another, harm to self, horrible negative thoughts that we may act on or we may not, some that we do act on. Energy is energy. And we do not separate ourselves in degree as, well, I was better than that guy. That guy is worse than me. That's a form of judgment that is not present in higher consciousness beings. So, in order to evolve and work ourselves out of all of that 3D density, negative ways of being, we also have to take on the atmosphere of there's no separation. I'm just as bad as that murderer. I'm just as bad as that guy. I'm just as bad as her. I'm just as bad as. Now, did I do those actions? No. But there is no degree, there is no separation. So we forgive us. Forgive us, for we know not what to do. Forgive me. Forgive them. Forgive. Because when we are an observer, we can love and appreciate that we are all here being human. We can love and appreciate their story as much as our own. We can love and appreciate that there had been a whole lot of influences that created all sorts of different stories walking around. We can release the judgment. We can release the fear. We can release all of these things when we are in observer mode of ourself and others. This is practicing and choosing compassion over judgment. Compassion over judgment. And the more we can do that as an observer, the more we can actually obtain living a heart-centered experience that then we can share with others. So it went from forgive us for we know not what we do. Man, I was just as bad as every other Joe on the street, right? Forgive us for we know not what we do. Into as a heart-centered being, understanding that everyone is human. Everyone has worthiness, the right to exist. They're beautiful and perfect. You can see it through your observations. Well, then forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because the ego is laid down. There's full trust. There's full love. There's full acceptance. It is. Walking, living, breathing, experiencing breath of life through a heart center experience. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Just as I didn't. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Right? To eventually, as you work through that, because there's still judgment in 5D. They're still working on how do I sustain mastery, presence, that full conscious awareness of self in this body of form. Everyone still is working on that a lot in 5D. You move it on up because you do have the light, reason, inner wisdom to help you level up into releasing the judgment, into love them, for they know not what they do. Because once you get there and you realize it's only love, that is the only thing that is required. That's it. It's the only requirement to be here. It's the only requirement and purpose that we came for. But you see how there's all these different levels of consciousness and ways of thinking, ways of acting that you can become. Love them, for they know not what they do. Love them, for they know not what they do. And then I will tell you, folks, I'm still just waiting for everybody to say, forgive us, for we know not what we do. And then into forgive them, for they know not what they do. Into love them, for they know not what they do. Into it is. The great it is. The full conscious awareness of the one that can see throughout all time and space, and it is, and be in complete peace, harmony in this body of form. It is possible. It is possible. It is possible. So, well, I know it's possible. I'm trying to tell you all it's possible. Oh, I love you guys. Everything is great here. Thank you for being in the chat. Have fun this weekend. Once again, I will be doing readings at Blue Sun Fusion Studio with 3 other folks this Sunday from I don't noon to 4. Part of those proceeds will be going to helping um, all of those in need that are right in my back in my neighborhood, really, in my backyard in a lot of ways. Um, and then I will also not be here live next Friday. It will be pre-recorded because I will be recording with Lucky Stone 888. And I will be talking about donations online for all that is going on. Tonight, join Lucky and I here at Stars of the Morning Light at 8 p.m. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. Maybe Lucky will surprise me. My thoughts have been kind of involved in other things opposed to coming up with a topic for tonight. I'm sure we'll discuss something lovely. Everyone, have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself. Know that a Michaelmas of what it truly is supposed to represent, the full remembrance of your mastery presence, your conscious memory in this body of form, that we all together, the dragon, no longer will exist. That festival and all of the other festivals are in remembrance of that. The light within, the divine within, your true nature. That is definitely love them for they know not what they do. Your true nature of it is in peace, love, and harmony. So I love y'all. Keep shining, stars. See you later.